Hey, what's up, everybody? Good afternoon. John and I are back for Hangout, and we lied a little bit last week. We said that that he was not going. Are you muted? Are you playing?
I'm muted.
Is that
Are
me?
you muted?
It may be me. I may be playing. I think I'm
it's you.
muted. Who knows? All right, we're back though. So John and I lied a little bit last week. We said that he was not going to be back for a couple weeks, but plans change, so you go with it. So we were going to have a couple of guests, but we're going to move that back a little bit. So John is here to continue our conversation. Hey, Aliyah Ryan, how are you? Continue our conversation about community groups. And we don't say this very often because we're not self-aggrandizing. We try not to be. But if you missed last Hangout, go back and listen to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we talked about some plans for the future. They're very loose right now, but we got a lot of good feedback on that one. A lot of people excited. So if you missed last week's Hangout, you got to go back and listen to that, especially the last half. But listen to the whole thing. It's 20 minutes. But go back and check that out. We talked about some things coming up for our community groups, our plan, desire, and path for those to really help reach communities and more communities in our area as well.
Yeah, it's a good 20 minutes. It's worth your time to go back and look at it, just simply because, like I said, there's a little bit of forecasting as to what we're looking to do, and the details of it have not been put in place yet, but we're certainly excited about the direction that it's going. And Gabe wants to blame himself for diverting last week, but really it was all me. If you go back and watch it, I'm the one that said, hey, let's go in this direction, and he just allowed us to do that. So
you just threw the script out.
Threw the script out, yep.
Not that we ever have a script.
No.
The one time we did, we threw it out.
We threw it out, yep.
Yeah, so John's going to share some details with us, but as you're watching, hey, Denise, how are you doing? So as you're watching, if you have questions about community groups, whether that's joining, leading, when they'll start back, what they look like, how you get involved, please shoot us those questions on Facebook here. Comment there, and we'll answer those for you. So John's going to take us through a little bit today about the plan for launching our groups, getting new leaders, and how you get prepared and trained for that.
Yeah. So you guys know, and if you're a member of LifePoint, you know that every year we do what's called Connect Night, which is an opportunity for you to meet our leaders and for you to get plugged in and make your suggestions for which group you'd like to be in, or select which option you want. And so we're going to do that again this year, August the 30th. So go ahead and mark your calendars on that. August the 30th will be Connect Night, and we're excited about that. We still don't really know how that's going to look. I mean, COVID still has us, firm in its grasp right now, and so we don't know what kind of impact that's going to have on the night. But as of right now, it's still scheduled, and we're still planning to move forward with that. Now, with regards to community group leaders, we are looking to always multiply.
Always.
Right? I mean, that's the goal of our community groups, is to, as you come into a community group setting, our goal is always to have you multiply that group. Now, we get stingy with that a lot of times.
Yeah.
A lot of times we want to hang on to the group we've got. My group this year has voiced their opinion on that many times about we have to stay together again for next year. But really, we need to understand that's never the goal.
Right.
Never the goal that we want to just stay together and keep the same group, because
Forever.
we want to grow that, right? And so what I'm looking for is I'm looking for people that want to begin that journey of being a group leader. We had some amazing groups last year, and we are looking this year to have another just round and a couple of semesters of really, really good groups. So if you feel like the Lord is nudging you in that direction and that's something that you want to do, we're going to have training that's going to lead up to that. The idea and the plan right now, the structure in place now, is going to be 2 in-person training sessions, and then 3 online sessions that will require people to watch, and it'll be some valuable information that we want to share with you that'll help equip you for leading a group. And so if you feel like that's something that the Lord is nudging you towards, you feel like that's something that you may want to do, come and talk to me. There is actually a link on our website that you can go to. So if you go to our website, you look under Next Steps and then Community Groups, all the way at the bottom, there's a button that you can push there that said inquire about leading a community group. That will email me directly, and then we will begin that conversation. And don't feel like you're not equipped to do so.
Yeah, that was going to be my question.
Yeah.
So for people who are like, I've not been trained, not been in seminary, I can't teach a Bible class, tell them a little bit about what the qualifications are or not, and who can lead a group.
The qualifications are you have a pulse.
No, a little more than that, but not
kidding.
much.
I'm just kidding.
Just kidding.
No, the qualification is that you have a demonstrated walk with the Lord, that you have you've secured your relationship with Jesus, and you want to help others find that and teach them and grow not only within your walk with Jesus, but also help them grow in theirs, and then develop that community, that relationship that helps them in that walk. And so don't feel like you have to be super Christian to do this. That's not the goal. The goal is to be vulnerable and to show people that you want to come alongside them and help them, and that you do the walk and do life together. And so, that really should be the mindset of, I would never, I don't think anybody's ever going to come through and say, hey, I'm super equipped to be a community group leader or a pastor or anything else. We're not, we're not built that way. But, the idea is to help people, to come alongside them, to establish community, and to just walk through this thing with them.
It's kind of like being a parent. You're never ready.
Absolutely.
Right? You just sometimes have to jump in and learn as you go. And so that's the great thing about having the structure in place of having training. So John's mentioned, if you want to be a group leader, we have training in place for you, 2 in person, 3 online, and that will help you. And you'll have him as a coach. He's working on raising up other coaches that'll be there to assist you if you run into anything. We can help you with curriculum, what to study. So that carries a lot of the weight of the theology and doctrine that might scare you. And always, if you have a question or someone in your group brings up a question, we'll be there to help you with that as well. So last year you did some training that you brought other people in, and you're planning to do that again this time. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about what those practical type trainings will look like.
Yeah, so those trainings, really the greatest amount of feedback that we got, the positive feedback that we got last year, was not out of this classroom style training where myself or our community care pastor Jeremy Simpson stood up and really laid out the idea of community groups, why they're important, how you function inside and lead them. But also we kind of introduced last year this more practical application side of training, where we brought in 3 group leaders who had a specific area of expertise, and we brought them in and allowed them to just talk and just give real life information and situational ideas about how you handle different things that may come your way during leading. And so we had John Aldridge come in. John is admittedly OCD about things. He schedules everything. He had a printed out schedule of every meeting before the semester even started, what they were going to do, study, all these things. So super organized. So he came in and just talked about the benefits and the advantages of doing that. Mm-hmm. We had John Mark Wainick come in and talk about what it means to really establish a family dynamic within your community group, which is huge.
Yeah, they're great at that.
Yeah, and they love people, and that's so great. And so he came in and talked about what it means like to care for people and to do that practically. And so it was awesome to see. And then I think one of the ones that is the most difficult for us to talk through, but this person that we brought in is amazing
She's
at
great
it.
At it.
Terry Collins, we had her come in and talk about conflict resolution and how to address issues that arise during the semester in group. And so just awesome feedback when we did that. And so we plan to do that again this year. We're going to have a training session that has that more practical side to it, where people are training you specifically on how to handle different situations, field questions on that. And then we will still have the classroom style situation where I'll stand up and talk a little bit about what it just means to be in community with people, how important it is to lead groups like that, how important it is to experience and participate in groups like that. And so even if you're not if you don't feel like you're qualified to lead a group, or you don't feel like you're in a position in your life and your walk with Jesus right now to lead a group, I can't overemphasize the importance of being in a community group and taking part in community through community groups here at LifePoint. It is life-altering, life-changing.
Yes.
And I say this often, it is impossible to walk with Jesus alone.
Absolutely.
Jesus never intended that. He never presented that model.
Yep.
Any model that he ever presented when he sent people out was 2 by 2.
Yep.
He always had people that surrounded him and his ministry, and he equipped people to go out together and do life together. And I don't think he ever intended for us to do it. We are relational beings in and of ourselves. And so for us, it's important to recognize that we need that, and our nature is to crave those relationships. And so to build off of that and experience life with people is hugely important.
Yeah, so one of the things that you mentioned when you always talk about the 2x2 is when they came back, they did evaluation. Basically.
That's right.
Jesus said, go, learn, fail, come back. I'll teach you, train you, and help. And so if you've never been a group leader and you're interested, you're going to fall and fail at times.
Yep.
We will help you along the way, get you prepared as best you can, but you're going to make mistakes. You're going to have questions and not know how to handle certain things. And so that's what we're here to do, to help. So Tutwiler said Aldridge asking if he'll be back to do scheduling because he's the best at it. So I want to touch on that, and I don't want to over church it. But scheduling, that helped the rest of the group know when they were going to meet. And it doesn't just do that. It helps you with accountability of, let's just take off this week. Like if it's on the calendar, and we know if you're going to attend something important, you're going to put it on your calendar. And a lot of us live by our calendar these days. So that helps with that accountability. And then the discipleship aspect of learning to love and care for people. I mean, that's the best place to get cared for. And a group of people who are going to be with you, walk with you. And then sometimes we don't think about that discipleship. We talked about it with the guys we're training last night. That exhortation, that challenge, that correction, it's hurtful, not harmful. It's hurtful, but it really is helpful in our walk and our discipleship. And so all those aspects really help to lead people in a closer walk with Jesus.
Yeah, and so if you look, one of the comments that we just got from David Tutwiler, who has been a group leader and co-led with the Aldridges this year, and David said, I love that this year's group wasn't afraid to struggle through things together. We didn't have to always agree, and everyone's opinion was valued, a tremendously authentic study. And so I want to speak to that for just a minute, because if you know anything about our church and what we've experienced in the last 6 months, I mean 2020 we've agreed has sucked.
We want to give it back.
We absolutely do. It has not been perfect, for sure. But anyways, we've struggled through some things. We've had some difficult times here, and those community groups have been essential in carrying people through some of those things. And we've looked at one group in particular that has just been gut punch after gut punch, and they have the leaders there have pulled together, rallied around their members, and have just helped carry people through some extremely difficult situations. And so Tut's right. I mean, you don't always have to agree in the group. There's not a situation where, we have to be of one mindset to come into this group, and you have to believe exactly like I do on these things. Not that at all. It's the fact that you value the opinions of others, but you come in and you establish relationships that help carry you through times that are very difficult. And you will experience those times as believers.
And we were in conversation with John and with David and some others in that group too, and they were excited. This is what I love. They were excited that they had some people in their group asking hard questions, and sometimes questions they didn't know the answers to.
Absolutely.
And so it's a safe place, really, and sometimes people use that word safe. It really is a safe place to ask those questions. And so one of the benefits of 2020, if there are any, that we talked about as staff last night and really prayed through, that the goal is for the kingdom of God to be on earth in the present. And that happens through God's word, through his spirit, creation, and through his people. And we have seen that happen through God's people. And they have rallied, you as the church have rallied together. And this has taught us and taught you how to be the body. And community groups are designed to be the body to one another. And so if you're hurting, if you're looking for a place to belong, if you're looking for someone to care for you, and you're not in a group, then you're missing the primary place to receive those things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the one comment Denise Carter said, she asked people, tell us one thing you love about your group. And she said, leading has been the biggest blessing for us. And they've led for, Denise, correct me, 5 or 6 years now. And it was almost like pulling teeth to get them to lead. Dale, her husband, is like, I'm not trained enough. I'm not good enough. I can't do it. And so they stepped into it with trepidation. But a couple of years into it, we're like, we may take a break next year, but they've continued to lead, continued to love people, and they've received the blessing of going through a difficult time of their group rallying around them as well. And so it is the place you will be cared for the most.
And you don't mistake in the thought that, well, I'm a leader, it's my responsibility to care for others. That's a perfect example of as a group together, you care for each other. That's not leaders to their members, but just together as a family, as a community there. And so they're a perfect example of that. Dale and Denise have went through some difficult times with death and with diagnosis and things like that, and their group has rallied around them and helped carry them through. And that's the beauty to me. She said 5.
Yeah,
she's not sure about 5.
Something like that.
But that's the beauty, really, of the fact that we get to come and do life together. We get to experience community together, do life together, and what is born out of that is these relationships that you find that become second nature, and they're long-standing. And it doesn't mean that you stay in group together forever. It just means that you develop those relationships, and because you move on and multiply and develop other groups, you still have those relationships in place from 2, 3, 4 years ago. And we still are reaping benefits of relationships that we had when we first came to Life Point and started participating in groups. I mean, we developed some amazing relationships out of that, and are still reaping the benefits of that. So it's not a situation where you have to be uber equipped to lead. It's just caring for people. It literally is just establishing an opinion or an idea that you're going to care for people, and you're going to do it in a way that's special, that establishes those relationships where people can thrive and their walk with Jesus grow closer.
Yeah, for sure. Love Jesus, desire to study his word, and learn to love people to do the same, basically, is what it is. So if you're interested in leading a group, obviously reach out to john.evans@lp.church.org. You can just hit info@lp.church.org, or just go to the website, lp.church.org, and then go to the next steps and then community groups, and you can select the option to join a group or to inquire about leading a group. And if you inquire, it doesn't mean you're signed up.
Right.
It just means you want more information, and then John will start rolling out those dates for training. And as he said, we have got to have more leaders, especially if we're going to accomplish what we talked about last week. And one more time, if you missed last week, you need to go listen to last week. It's really exciting about what God is doing in and through this church, and how he's starting to spread us out to other communities as well. So anything you got before we wrap up?
Yeah, let me just say that, the need for more community group leaders is so huge. At a church our size, we typically are going to need between 25 and 28 community group leaders. We had some groups this year, that ours being one, that were over 20 people. Your group,
400 people.
Their kids make up 75% of that. But
that's right.
Anyways, just when you have that many people, you begin to be ineffective at that point. And so for us, we want to give people an opportunity to truly establish community and to experience that week to week. And so it's really important that we have enough community group leaders to be able to do that. So please pray about it. If you haven't thought about it, and it's something that you may be interested in, please come and talk to me. I'm glad to sit down with you, talk to you about it. And so we just want to make sure that people that are in those positions to lead do it well. And so we want to train them and equip them to be able to do that. So pray about it. Let me know. Reach out to me. I'm glad to sit down and talk with you about it.
And we'll announce it again Sunday about the training coming up. So hope you guys have a great rest of your afternoon. We'll see you Sunday as we continue our series, Living Hope.